Hi, it's Colin Cowherd. I started The Volume to bring you some of the most authentic voices in sports. While you're here, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks. Fake questions, real answers. Things I want to talk about. Don't want to wait for you to ask them. Dear Colin, do you think the term most valuable player needs to be replaced with something else? Yes, I do. The meaning of a word might stay the same over time, but the connotation and how we feel about it can change. I'll give you a great example. Soda companies right now are eliminating the word diet from all of their products. So in the 80s and 90s, right, the word diet was popular. It was fashionable. Everybody should be lean and trim. Well, now studies show that Gen Z members don't like the word diet. It means perhaps depriving yourself or trying to achieve some unhealthy idea of body image. That's why diet sodas are now called zero sugar sodas. And I feel the same way about the MVP award. Most valuable player is another term that should go the way of the dinosaur. Listen, quarterback salaries have ballooned to 40, 50 million a year, right? We can't have anything or any proximity to the word value for a franchise. They're not of value anymore. To me, what makes Brady and great quarterbacks more successful over the last 20 years is they don't have the salary cap hit of an Aaron Rodgers currently or a Russell Wilson. Brady's always been a smaller cap hit. Patrick Mahomes this year is a $7 million cap hit. I don't like the word valuable because it limits in football who can win the award. 13 of the last 14 MVPs have been quarterbacks. Adrian Peterson, the only exception. Just call it best player. That's what college basketball does. Men's and women's March Madness, most outstanding player. If it's a best player award, then TJ Watt, Cooper Kupp, Micah Parsons have a shot. If it's most valuable, it's got to be a quarterback. They simply touch the ball more, have more impact on every play, and frankly, we've never had a wide receiver as an MVP. Why? Because they're quarterback dependent. As long as it's called valuable, it will be a limited award. Dear Colin, what did you make of those Tuesday games in the NFL? Thanks for asking. First of all, their affirmation of the power of the NFL. I've said this to my wife about coffee. I can tell what an addiction is because time is irrelevant. I like coffee in the morning. I like it in the late morning. I like a cup after lunch, late afternoon. And frankly, sometimes my favorite dessert is espresso over vanilla ice cream. I like coffee all day. That's how I feel about the NFL. I think it's my second addiction. It doesn't matter the day you put it on. I would rather watch an NFL game than anything else on television. Seriously. And remember this. Broadcast media viewing overall went down 10% last year. This past year. NFL ratings up 11%. The Raider-Cowboy Thanksgiving game, most watched NFL game in 28 years. So it used to be that MASH, Seinfeld, Cheers got such a huge rating that there was no reason to put the NFL on during the week. But broadcast prime numbers have been plummeting for years. So nothing can rival Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football or, frankly, even rocky, bumpy, ugly Tuesday Night Football. One of the downsides to the NFL, one of the few things that irritates me is the 1 o'clock window, Eastern, or 10 a.m. window on Sunday. There's too many games at one time. That's why I buy the Red Zone. I can't keep up with 7 games at one time. I'd love there to be 4, and you put a couple games on Tuesday. Now that broadcast primetime ratings are in the tank, and they're going down every year, I think the NFL should lighten up the early window on Sunday and consider manipulating the schedule with an occasional Tuesday night game. That's why they play on Thursdays, right? To win another night of primetime. Add a Tuesday. Dear Colin, don't you think this season has proved that the NFL playoff expansion was a good idea? I'm for always expanding all playoffs. If it was up to me, I'd go back to a 14-game NFL regular season and add 2 more layers of playoff games. I mean, what's insane about baseball is not only that the regular season has 162 regular season games and lasts 6 months. What's more insane is that postseason only lasts 4 weeks. If you look at the more successful way to get ratings, people often complain the NBA playoffs are too long. No, they get it. Baseball doesn't. In a more fragmented, frenetic, caffeinated world, the way to get people's attention is urgency. So I would be for expanding the NBA playoffs and cutting down the regular season to 60 games. I would be for cutting baseball down to 100 games and having a 2.5-month playoff season. I'd be for cutting down college football to 10 games and having 24 teams in the playoff. It's a different society. We're more distracted. More playoffs, more urgency, less regular season, to me, is always a win. Dear Colin, what's the most overplayed story of the year? Well, the one that cracks me up is how a college football coach fits in a region. You know how they say all politics is local? Well, so is all sports. Nobody gives a rip in Baton Rouge how Brian Kelly plays outside of Baton Rouge. Ed Orgeron sounded like he belonged at LSU. He no longer works there. Lincoln Riley does not sound like he's from California. He's got a little twang. Nobody cares. Pete Carroll had no affiliation to Southern California. None of that stuff matters. It just doesn't matter. People don't like Brian Kelly. People love Ed Orgeron. Who's the better coach? If you start looking around college football and the history of the sport, 75% of the time or more, fit is completely, utterly irrelevant. Chip Kelly was from New Hampshire. He turned Oregon into a power. Mario Cristobal was from Miami. He got Oregon back to being a near power. It doesn't matter. Is there a most overrated star in all of sports? You know, it's funny when people use the word overrated, because I actually think most athletes are properly rated. We know who's great. We know who's not great. So I don't feel there's a lot of overrated athletes in sports. If there was one that jumps to my attention, it's Anthony Davis, now of the Lakers. Charles Barkley calls him street clothes because he's never available. The only time he won a championship was during a pandemic when he got a 3.5-month hiatus in the middle of a regular season, which was of great benefit to Anthony Davis because he cannot stay healthy. He's simply not regularly available. Jordan, LeBron are almost always available. He doesn't have leadership DNA. He's not willing to play the 5, and he's nearly 7 feet. He'd rather shoot from 3, where he's hitting 19%. You know, AD is a little like a pharmaceutical drug that sounds great, and then they spend the next 45 seconds telling you about all the side effects, like anal bleeding. And you're like, you know what? I'd rather have my heart explode. I'm not taking this. It's with Anthony Davis. I keep hearing he's a star, but all the side effects are never available, not really a leader, doesn't want to play his natural position. I really, honestly, we used to blame the Pelicans for Anthony Davis's rap. It was completely accurate. He's just a really talented 2. He'll never be a 1.